Something should be done.
Somebody should be charged.
Something should be done. That's what we're saying. All right. Speaking of Gor Mahia parted ways with Mark Harrison, assistant coach Samuel Molo, goalkeeper, trainer Jerem Onyango, Paul Nkata is supposed to take charge on an interim basis.
Can I go first? Please, let me go first.
Okay.
I watched Gor Mahia play Posta Rangers in Thika. There's no magic for Gor Mahia. Even if you bring another coach, there's no magic. These are guys who have not been paid for some time. In fact, Gor Mahia were lucky to have lost 3-0 against Posta Rangers.
So against a better opposition?
Gor Mahia players are so good. I think
that's where the story is.
No. What is lacking at Gor Mahia, I think, is just cash. Guys, football without money is like having, I don't know how to describe it. Gor Mahia currently need money to be pumped. That much Gor Mahia could have lost with a bigger margin. But just to go to what I know Swila is going to talk about, I'm seeing guys taking on the players, but the players are going through a lot. Somebody alleged that the players go to training drunk. I don't want to take that route, because if a player goes to training drunk, the coach should take action. And it will translate in the pitch. But Gor Mahia needs money. They've not paid their players for some good time. They've been kicked out of Jericho training grounds because of the dues that they have there. Swila, Gor Mahia has brought in a new coach, yeah? Let's look at the next 2-3 matches. I'm not seeing anything happening unless you bring in money.
You see, interesting perspective there by Arocho. But for me, I'm a lover of history, by the way. If you look at the history of Gor Mahia, and this is the last, let's not even go to 10 or 5 years. Let's just narrow it to the last 2 years. How many coaches have we had here? Before Mark, we had Steve Pollack. Before Steve Pollack, we had who? We had the Turkish guy.
Yes.
I'm forgetting his name. A good gentleman, and a man who loved Gor through and through, and a man who went out of his way just to ensure that this club takes off. This was an attack coming to an African country. No blood relatives, no association whatsoever. And this on record. And if I'm lying, the Gor hierarchy can come out and punch some holes. This is a coach who negotiated with an airline to come to Kenya to build a modern state-of-the-art training facility for Gor Mahia without Gor Mahia giving 0 shillings, just to lay a foundation for takeoff. Guys, the Gor leadership spiked that deal. Right? That's the leadership we have.
Oh, so you're taking on the leadership.
They want this crisis to go on and on and on, and to walk around with begging bowls, and for Swila to put articles with headlines, crisis at Gor, and so that people of goodwill can pump in and wire some 50,000, 100,000 that we are helping our club. We have to call them out. This is not how to run a club. Gor is not poor by them, for heaven's sake. Gor Mahia have the biggest resource, and that's the fan, like Shitera, like Raburu, like Arocho, who would walk there and pay 1,000 to watch that football. That's the #1 resource for Gor Mahia, which the leadership has refused to tap onto, right? So if you fire Mark Harrison today and bring Paul Nkata, even Paul Nkata will go. He won't be there for forever.
I'm happy that you're with me.
Jerry, my club legend, I covered him for over 10 years. Decorated service between the goalposts. You kick him under such a cloud of uncertainty. Yet you know you haven't looked yourself in the eyeball and corrected the weak areas. You're not going to run Gor Mahia like that, right? Today Nkata is in there. He's not going to instill the magic. He's a good coach. He won the title with the Tusker. We know what he can do. But now, how motivated are those players, as he's saying?
Thank you.
If there is indiscipline, what have you done as a technical bench? Did we see action? Was there any statement released? This morning, a Manchester United player is alleged to have been involved in some off-the-pitch scandal. And we saw Manchester United immediately issue a statement and say, henceforth he's suspended.
Yes.
And now the law enforcers, the police and whatever, will do their investigations, and the due process of law will be followed. We are not seeing this at Gor Mahia. And we are demanding accountability and better leadership, because Gor is the threshold, it's the benchmark. People should be coming to Kenya and say, we want to look at Kenya's glamour club, or the biggest club, or the most decorated in this part of the world. How are they run? Is there anything you can put on the table and say, look, guys, this is how we run our affairs.
Swila, shake my hands. Before Mukami, shake my hands. You know, I thought Swila was going to go around with a lot of diplomatic words. He's just settled to what I'm saying. Gor Mahia must bring in money. If you cannot bring in money, then any other coach, you'll just be beaten.
Mukami, what do you think about the Gor debacle?
I think they've said more than enough. May I want to move on to AFCON, so I'm like, I think they've said enough. They've said they've summarized it.
And you know, imagine you're in green, you're in green, the Gor Mahia colors.
But you know, we were, like, I'll just quickly mention this, and I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. In Qatar, there's a reason why he left Kakamega Homeboys. And as Arocho has said, what are Gor Mahia struggling with? Money. I'll leave it there.
Waswahili wanasema kwamba mwenda tezi na omo marejeo ni ngamani. When we had a lot of money in football, as Arocho said, tulikuwa tunaendea makocha kule Uturuki, Europe. But when reality strikes is when we start going back to our roots. I believe Kenya has a host of good coaches that we overlook. And when our lives starts blossoming in football, let us also give some sort of respect to our coaches. I'm saying this in reference to Francis Kimanzi, former Harambee Stars coach, and Anthony Kimani, former FC Leopards coach. But again, all this is as a result of the earthquake of poor leadership in football. Yeah? No one wants to associate with football now. We don't have serious sponsors who want to invest in football because I will say that Kenyan football at the moment is in a mess. No one wants to associate with it. But again, it is up to the caretaker committee to give us the way. We've been left in a very, very thick forest, quite in the middle. So their job is to cut out the way for us. They have a very huge task, unfortunately. And we are, I think, finishing the third month of their leadership. They have 3 months to ensure that we have rules or guidelines in place for the next election. I don't know if we will have the election, but that is what the communication was when they took over, that in 6 months we'll ensure that football is back and hand over to a very able leadership. Are they doing that? Unfortunately, we have not heard from them. Again, communication is key. It's a team that is led by many journalists. I want to pray that the journalists in them will do the communication and ensure that they give us their roadmap, that for the last 3 months, this is what we've done. For the next 3 months, right, this is what we are going to do. Let them not stay in silence. The Starlets issue really showed how communication inefficient they are.
Very deficient.
Yeah, because they should have moved with speed and ensured. They also need to have some sort of intelligence.
Actually, Shtera, what your good friend Linda and even my good friend Toskin, Toskin is one of the most prolific writers.
Correct.
Whom I grew up reading.
Correct.
But there's a deficit of communication. The statements don't come when you need them to clarify.
It almost looked as if they found out at the same time.
Absolutely. That's actually, to give credit, Ken Okaka, who is not even a trained journalist, was doing way much better in terms of relaying information. So the caretaker committee actually need to
step up.
Yeah, they need to step up.
That's why I'm saying, you see, football is just like politics. In the communication team, there need to be some sort of intelligence. They should have noted this.
So you want to mean there's no intelligence in that?
Not intelligence up, intelligence
down.
Intelligence, you see,
on the ground.
Yeah, that's why I was finishing up my point before you came in. Yeah, intelligence, kujua kwamba these people, yes, they have been knocked out, but they are still communicating with CAF, because that letter was dated on
20th, yes.
Yeah, for all those days, the caretaker committee intelligence bureau should have unearthed this in good time.
Yes.
And I think we could not be in such a mess. So I think they need to have that intelligence, and they also need to step up their marketing strategy to ensure that Kenyan football is back on track. But I'm sure they are able leaders. I'm sure they are doing something, but let them also communicate to us and tell Kenyans that this is what they are doing. Right. The football, as Arocho said, is a Kenyan property. Yes. So if you are holding that position, tell Kenyans what you are planning for them. Yeah, don't just wake up one early morning and say that we are following up when someone in the back door anakucheza.
All right, well, we want to move to Kenya Cup real quickly. Sule can take us through, because Mukami wants to tell us about AFCON.
Actually, Winnie can get us the graphics on screen even as we look at it. Yes. But the interesting thing about Kenya Cup is Menengai Oilers have really been on a good run. 7 games unbeaten. Actually, not even unbeaten. They have gotten 7 wins on the bounce. Cabras also 6 wins on the bounce. Actually, Cabras are second, but you can see the weekend results. Cabras were winners. Actually, they beat Oilers, whom I was talking about. Then you have Strathmore University, Kenya Harlequins losing against Arocho's KCB. The university students of Kakamega, they have not really had a good stay in the top flight. They've been losing a lot of matches, but you can see here they won against Black Blood. That should have been 1 try. And of course, Impala Saracens beating Mwamba 32-14. Interesting, Mwamba is one of the biggest teams in Kenya Cup, but they seem to struggle a lot this term. I don't know whether the loss of their spiritual home ground, which was at Kenya Railways, has anything to do with this, because they are really struggling. But again, the interesting thing about Kenya Cup this time, KCB would top it up from the onset, the whistle, but they are in the top 3. After this, of course, the top 7 or 6 would be earning playoff slots. But as now, Oilers have had a very good run so far, and so are Cabras. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but the interesting thing again, we are having the National 7 circuit returning after 2-year absence because of COVID. We'll have Sepetuka, we'll have the Prince-Lo Sevens, Kabeberi Sevens in Mount Kenya region. So that's something beautiful to look forward, but I hope this time KCB does not back this.
No. There's something you didn't say quickly. you need to emphasize that KCB thumped Harlequins 45-10. No, thumped. That's the best description. Thumped.
All right. Well, we're going to move to AFCON. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have asked this in the beginning. I've just realized, I guess, with the emotions of Juma, and then we got into the whole back we forgot. We were going to ask who is going to win AFCON. I don't know if there's enough time to get in some of the feedback, but that's the question of the day. Who will win AFCON 2021? Mukami, your thoughts?